Welcome to episode 167 of the Sports Marketing Machine podcast, powered by Revelocity Sports, the podcast that helps you sell more tickets and grow your fan base. I'm your host, Jeremy Neisser. Today, we're going to talk about outsourcing your marketing. And before you want to throw tomatoes at me and immediately think Jeremy's about to tell us every team should hire an agency, that's actually not what this episode's about. So hold the tomatoes. You can throw them at me later if you don't like what I have to say, but this is not what the episode's about. The real question is bigger than should we outsource our marketing? Should we hire a marketing agency? The real question is, what's the highest and best use of your staff's time? Because right now, a lot of sports teams have incredibly talented people doing low-value work all day long. Some of that AI can help with. And it's not because they are lazy and they're doing these low-value things. It's not because they're bad at their jobs. It's because, everyone working in sports are overwhelmed. They're always wearing 12 different hats, always reacting, always buried. There's always something to do, and the to-do list always grows. And sometimes the value of outsourcing your marketing has less to do with expertise and more to do with creating leverage. So today, episode, we're going to break down the hidden cost of doing everything in-house. When outsourcing makes sense, the pros and cons there, what should stay internal, and how freeing up time can actually lead to more revenue. Let's dive in. I've been working in sports for 20 plus years and then working with teams for over 3 years in this consulting, supporting capacity. The question always comes up whenever outsourcing comes up, that topic, that question around outsourcing, most teams immediately focused on the cost. An outside agency costs $2,000 or $5,000 or $7,000 or $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month or whatever it is, right? But I don't want to say it's completely the wrong way to evaluate it, but I think it definitely warrants a different way, a different perspective. The real question in my mind is, what revenue opportunities are we missing out because our internal staff is buried? Because if your GM, your marketing director, your ticket sales leader, or heck, even your owner of your team is spending hours resizing graphics, loading up meta ads, building some sort of ticketing page or landing page, creating offers and putting them in the ticketing software, exporting email lists and importing email lists, manually building lists, troubleshooting pixels, trying to figure all this stuff out. They're not spending time selling sponsorships, developing community relationships, closing company picnics or group outings or suite outings, improving retention, building relationships with season ticket holders, networking with local businesses and community leaders, or building the strategy that will build from this year and on. That's the trade-off that nobody talks about. One sponsorship deal might be worth $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, depending on where you are. One group outing could be $2,000, $4,000, $1,000. A suite's $2,500, right? One partnership relationship could drive long-term fan growth for years. So yes, an outside marketing partner does cost money. There is no doubt about it. But sometimes the bigger cost is what your internal staff no longer has time to do. And honestly, I see this a lot in sports. Your best people are drowning in execution work. And this is specifically to the teams that have smaller staffs. If you're a staff that has people that are just graphic and just video and just social media, you have a larger staff, maybe this isn't relevant to you, but I'm talking specifically to the teams that are stretched. Your graphics person is also your video person, who's also your merchandise person, who may also be your food and beverage person. This person's doing a lot. Your one group salesperson is building relationships and selling group sales, but they're also doing 9 other things. Like, that's the team that I'm talking to right now. Here's a concept I want you to think about. Not every task inside your organization has the same revenue impact. Some work is repetitive, operational, execution heavy. Others are strategic, absolutely relationship driven, and most importantly, revenue generating. And sports teams often confuse the two. A GM putting together meta ads is kind of like using your cleanup hitter to drag the field. Sure, they could do it, but should they? Probably not. Now listen, I'm not saying those operational tasks are not important. It's the morning of a day game and you got to roll hot dogs and it's all hands on deck. Like, I get it. I totally understand. Those situations, those things absolutely matter. But if your highest level people are spending a lot of their time in Canva or Photoshop or Ads Manager or spreadsheets or ticket exports or graphic revisions, you're limiting the growth potential of your organization because you're spending more time on things that are lower value than higher value. Those people should be spending more time on building relationships, creating partnerships, developing revenue strategy, meeting with sponsors, renewing, retention, networking, leading their team. That's where the massive revenue growth happens. Not resizing graphics at 11 p.m. the night before a game. That right there puts you behind the 8 ball. You only have so many hours in the day, specifically the leaders of the organization, and you should be focusing on the highest opportunity, the highest leverage things. This is important here. A lot of internal sports, the marketers that are working for sports teams are extremely talented. There is no doubt about it. I can name 30 really very, very talented marketing and promotions directors in sports across college, minors, majors, across the board, right? You are very, very talented. So I'm not saying agencies good, internal staff bad. It's not even close. In fact, many teams already have smart people internally. The problem is they don't have enough time. Sports organizations are chaos. I don't want to say sometimes. It's chaos all of the time. Game days, rain delays. You've got coaches. You're managing the expectation of coaches if you're working a college athletic office. You got your women's basketball coach asking for this, your football coach asking for that, your men's hoops asking for this, sponsor emergencies, you got staffing problems, you need a PA announcer, you need a music person. You're trying to figure all of this stuff out. Ownership's asking for things, or your athletic director's asking for things. There are constant fires happening all the time. I can remember one day in minor league baseball that I was working, and it was an education day. We were at the ballpark at 5 a.m. Where so many kids showing on up. We were rolling hot dogs at 6 a.m. Gates were open at 9. We were doing all of these things. There were sponsors to meet. There were season ticket holders to connect with that were there. There were groups that you had to connect with the group leader and make sure everybody was okay. And at the end of the game, it was 2 o'clock. I was exhausted, but we had 6 cars in the parking lot that had foul balls broken through their window. Like, there's always something happening, right? Marketing and employees in sports, it's always reactive instead of most of the time you need to be and want to be strategic. And you really can't in many cases, which is the point that I'm trying to get to here. Having outside support can really create value because outside support can create consistency, cadence, accountability, systems, execution discipline. That creates breathing room for your staff. Sometimes the value isn't they're better than us, their expertise, they're smarter than us. Sometimes the value is they allow us to focus on the highest value work. That, my friends, is a completely different conversation. Now, this does not mean you outsource everything. In fact, some things should absolutely stay in your four walls. Things like your brand voice, your fan experience, community relationships, sponsorship relationships, organizational storytelling, culture, strategic vision. Those things matter deeply. But there are also areas that are often to outsource or support externally that would make sense. Paid ads, retargeting, reporting, email automation, video editing, maybe creations of landing pages if you're doing some different things, maybe even some design work, analytics and reporting. Some of the stuff around funnel setups, absolutely that is something that may make sense to do it externally. A lot of those things require constant platform learning anyway. The type of time that, well, a lot of marketing folks in sports and promotion folks and GMs simply don't have. Meta changes constantly. Google's changing all the time. And of course, AI changes all the time. A good outside partner often sees more campaigns, more industries, more testing, more trends. They see things that you simply don't see. They're touching things that you just don't have the opportunity or the time to be able to do. They can compress your learning curve. But again, the real win is usually leverage. Here's the main takeaway. If you are still thinking here and you got your tomato in your hand and you're like, Jeremy, I'm not buying it. The main takeaway today, the best outsourcing decisions aren't about replacing your people. They're about maximizing your people. That's the difference. So if outsourcing allows your general manager, your external relations director, or your marketing director, your ticket sales team, or your sponsorship team to spend more time doing high value work, that, my friend, is where the real growth happens. Some of the best sports organizations I've ever seen aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest staffs. They're the ones that understand leverage. They know what to own internally, what to systematize, what to automate, and what to delegate. That, specifically with lean teams, that's how you really start building for the future, and you build it bigger and faster and stronger when you know what you need to keep internally, what you will systematize, what will you automate, and what will you delegate to someone else, either internally or externally. All right, main takeaways. Each episode I give you the main takeaways from the episode. Here's the first one. The real cost of outsourcing isn't the fee. It's the opportunity cost of what your staff can't focus on internally. Number 2, not every task has the same revenue impact. Number 3, your best people should spend more time on strategy, relationships, and revenue generating activities than anything else. And number 5, outsourcing is often more about capacity and consistency than skill. Oh, and one more. The best organizations create leverage. They don't try to do everything themselves. If today's episode made you rethink how your organization uses time, resources, and staffing, take a hard look at where your team spends the majority of its day. Are your best people doing the highest value work? Are they stuck, buried in execution? If you need help thinking through this, on our staff, there's 2 of us that have worked in sports for over 20 plus years. We have one former team president on our staff that would absolutely happy to take 30 minutes to help you talk through marketing structure, potential outsourcing opportunities, where automation might fit, or where leaks are inside your organizations. We would love to help. You can schedule a call. I'll put a link in the show notes. Love to chat through with you. We are just here to help you sell more tickets and grow your fan base. Next week, in the next few episodes, we're going to talk about group sales, and there are going to be some home runs in this one, no pun intended, about things you can do to help you sell more group tickets as you plan for this season, or you're smack dab in the middle of the season trying to sell more group tickets. I'm really excited about the next few episodes. But if you found value in today's episode, pop on over to Spotify or Apple, leave a rating or a review. I appreciate it, but more importantly, it gets this podcast in front of people who are just like you, trying to sell more tickets and grow their fan base. Until next time.